this before. So for Black, we have Professor Lim Kok An, who's widely known as the founder of Singaporean chess and is represented here by his daughter, Stella Kon. Stella is a renowned Singaporean playwright, novelist, short story writer, and poet. And she's frequently used as literature text examples in schools as well. Absolutely massive in Singapore. And she's co-sponsored the latest GM tournament in Singapore in 2018 as well, which is delightful. And on making the ceremonial first move for white, we had Tan Lian An, who's a living legend of Singapore chess, a 10-time Singapore champion, and has represented the Singaporean nation in 4 Olympiads, 3 of them on board 1. E4 has indeed been played. The first move of game number 2 of the World Championship 2024 is now officially in the history books. Judith, Dania, take it up.
Rome wasn't built in a day, but I think the Italian might be built up on the board in just a couple of seconds here, Judith. And indeed, a reprisal of the opening that Ding Liren has suddenly, starting from the Singfield Cup onwards, shown a great proclivity for playing. He's a D4 player by blood, by nature, but an Italian player as of today.
Well, good old stuff with D4 and C4 and those openings. He's Catalan, right? But maybe we are going to see even more games. But it is very understandable. His second game, he just scored in game 1. So he's in a very good mood. And definitely today, I think he wants to try it, but not by any means. So this is the game where... But later on, white wants to play bishop g5, for now a4 against b5. But the bishop on c4 stands excellently on that diagonal to cover the d5 square. So guys, champions, how you have to play these openings, right? So e4 can be solid, very solid, as we see in this game. But still, it doesn't mean that white is looking for a draw. To be honest, I like it pretty much the way white is trying to handle this. H6 is on the board. I think this is the most logical move because you still have to have this move on the board. And we see Ding playing very fast today. Bishop E3.
Noterbeck's move. Noterbeck has 4 games because the Vietnamese Grandmaster decided to castle. Gukesh blitzing out what I believe is a novelty in bishop to E6. Is this copycat chess? If white plays H3, we have all black needs to do is play A5 in that position, and we have a literal copycat position.
Quite a lot of tension with the pawns, but he plays A5. Look at that.
How are they still blitzing moves? I mean, either of the bishops can be captured by either side, and neither side is capturing either of them. That was
incredible preparation. Bishop C4.
Okay. And the moment of truth will happen, Judith, after DC, because we should mention that, nobody canceled bishop takes E3.
Well, castle is a logical move. The only problem I have for black that he might end up very easily in just a very clear, solid verse. And it's just white who is playing and can maneuver all over.
A bad move. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Well, the worst that can happen is you go 30 moves down Ding's chess space file. And so, Gukesh, you called it, Judith. No bishop b4 for us today. Instead, he castles kingside, the best of circumstances. And when you're down 1-0, getting a torturous endgame or long middle game where your opponent is having all the fun, not how the script was written for Gukesh today.
Yes, indeed. But it was a very logical decision by Gukesh, I think. Even if bishop b4 was the best move, strategy, because you don't want to win. Just because you play very solid, it doesn't mean you don't play for a win. He's in a very good situation.
So, Dania, I'm going to throw the tricky question your way. You're Gukesh in this position, right? You're half an hour down on the clock. It feels like this is within your opponent's prep, but not necessarily your own.
This is something when you teach chess, you would never say that you move away your rook from the open file, giving away for your opponent the open file. And why white can do this is because this, that, and at the end you come back to the same move as you wanted to play instantly. But here we see a very logical move. Again,
Gukesh said he was expecting peak Ding Liren in his interview yesterday. He's not looking at that graph. He's not looking at the historical slump.
Ideas of White, but White, it seems that he's not necessarily in a big rush. Now we see G6 played.
Gary 6. And it's F3. No knight G4. Great call, Judith. That was indeed the biggest threat.
To fulfill his dream by having this very small dream to have his knight to D3. It's only one move, but somehow Ding is struggling to achieve this. C2 is threatening, sorry.
H5 played by Mr. Gukesh. And played not without taking too much time. Great time management there. Just like, let's sign the score sheets, get some pieces off the board, and let's make Title Tuesday. You're good, Ding. You got another 4 hours. And Gukesh says, I got another 4 hours.
You see? He doesn't want to make a draw. He wants to play on. That, okay, I was playing for advantage, but now it's time to go for a draw or just to quit for today because I don't have advantage anymore.
It's so clear. He's asking Gukesh, all right, please be so kind as to return your horse to D4.
I'm surprised.
Yeah. But Judith, there I thought black could have been worse, right? If White's knight gets to D3, the game hangs in the balance and we see a handshake. Well, that was anticlimactic. That decision took place in the course of 5 seconds. Gukesh was like, all right, let's make the draw. And Ding didn't hesitate for a single second to cooperate with a repetition.
Well, it was very smart, I think, by Gukesh.
You're surprised you thought Gukesh would go for it, but overall a successful result.
Yeah, I think it was a very smart result, a smart decision by Gukesh, because after all, he's not better and he's not showing that, okay, by any means, I want to take an opportunity, take the chance that I create something out of this.
Mature, composed, collected draw. And is it fair to say, Judith, as we see the score sheets getting signed, that there was a moment, maybe a couple of moments
for the match now? This was game number 2, of course. So that means that Ding Liren, the current world champion, is in the lead, 1.5 to 1/2 over Gukesh. A lot to talk about for analysis of this game in particular, but right now what matters is its advantage incumbent world champion.